Alright, so based on the latest chapter, chapter 268, we find out a lot of information about Asta's anti-magic devil, Liebe, and also Asta's potential mother, Licita. And the reason why I say potential because nothing has yet to be confirmed that this is indeed Asta's mother. But that's where this theory comes into play for today. So we will be theorizing why this is Asta's mother, why he was born without mana. However, in order to prove this theory, we have to talk about what timeline did this chapter occur. Did Nero truly watch over the grimoire for 500 years, or is this a bit misconception within the community? So let's break this theory down. Now, in the most recent chapter, we see that Licita had the Five Leaf Grimoire. In this chapter, she says she found it the other day. Now, this part of the chapter brings up the question, if she found the Five Leaf Grimoire somewhere that we don't know of, how didn't Nero know about this if she was watching the grimoire for 500 years? I believe this is something that she would have brought up. And it's because Nero did not watch over the grimoire for 500 years. And I will explain why. The Battle of Licht and Lumiere took place 500 years ago, which was shown in chapter 204. And the reason why we know that is accurate because in chapter 206, Licht confirmed that took place 500 years ago when they were undone by the devil's plan. However, in chapter 205, Nero stated that years has passed before she woke up and she was a bird. Having been excluded from the natural realm for 500 years, I watched over Licht's grimoire. Now, this can easily cause a misconception here because the way the wording is put together, it seems as though she's saying that she watched the grimoire for 500 years, but that's not exactly the case. She said she was excluded from the natural realm for 500 years. She watched over Licht's grimoire. When she means that she was excluded from the natural realm, she's saying that she was asleep. Nero already implied that years has passed, so that means that she was asleep in between those 500 years, meaning that it doesn't add up to 500 years if she watched over Licht's grimoire. If Licht already implied in chapter 206 that the battle took place 500 years ago during the devil's plan. In chapter 265, Nero even clarifies herself. She said that she slept for many years when we found out that Tetsia actually survived. So it's impossible for her to watch a grimoire for 500 years if the battle took place with Licht and Lumiere 500 years ago, if she implied that she slept many years. So even if you was to say, okay, she slept for many years, she slept for about 10 to 15 years, you cannot round up 490 to 500. That's the equivalent of a 10-year-old saying that he's 20 years old. You cannot round 10 to 20. That's not how math works. So this what means in chapter 205, Nero's statement was a continuing sentence. So Nero is actually saying she was excluded from the natural realm for 500 years. And when she woke up as a bird, she watched over Licht's grimoire. Now, Tabata has a tendency of writing his sentences spaced out within one panel because in the same chapter, chapter 205, when Nero said that she was excluded from the natural realm, right below that exact panel, Nero stated, "Today we put an end, period, etc. to this long fight." This is the exact spaced out wording pattern that Tabata did here from Nero's previous statement. So based off the evidence, I believe it's impossible for Nero to watch over a grimoire for 500 years if she was asleep in between those years or the full 500, which is why I think Tabata is implying here that she was asleep for the full 500, unless this is a plot hole. Now, in a filler episode of the anime, we seen she was watching the Grimoire Towers, and this was her first encounterment when she seen Asta protecting Yuno when someone tried to steal his magic stone. Now, the questions that we have based on this, did she know that the 5-leaf Clover Grimoire was in the Grimoire Towers, or was she hoping for the chance that one day someone will receive the 5-leaf Clover Grimoire? We know that she didn't place the Grimoire in a Grimoire Tower, so it's impossible for her to know because, like Nero stated before, she was asleep for many years. So she lost track of the grimoire, and I think this was all based on hope because she said when she woke up, she definitely felt the existence of hope to stop the devil. And when she seen Asta receive the 5-leaf grimoire, she said that she spotted hope. So this means that when she woke up and said she felt the existence of hope that can stand against the devil, she was talking about Asta. Which is why I believe it backs up the theory that she woke up in a time where Asta was alive. Which is why I believe it makes sense why when Licita had the 5-leaf grimoire, Nero didn't know she lost track of the grimoire. Now that we have that out of the way, now it's time to theorize if Licita is actually Asta's mother. Now in chapter 97, the Witch Queen stated, "I assume you are one of their kin, but I was wrong," implying that she thought Asta was an elf because he has Licht swords. She continues on to say that you are simply defective. A sudden mutation kept mana dwelling inside of you. Licita mentioned that as long as something lacks mana, she can put it into something and take it out of other things. That is how she was able to bring Liebe, the anti-magic devil, and the firewood to her home with the little magic item she has. She continues on to say, still, what a surprise. I got this body that steals magic and whatever life forms that are near me. But since Liebe is a devil and he lacks magic, his life force and his magic wasn't being taken away because there was none there. Which is why she lives alone, which is very similar to Henry because Henry can steal people's mana. But that's not his magic type. It is his curse. Because his magic type is recombination magic, that is how he's able to control the Black Bull's fortress. And the reason why we know he is cursed because in chapter 223, Gordon's father revealed that Henry is cursed. In chapter 268, we see that Lucifero is trying to use Liebe's body to search for a way to manifest himself into the real world because he realized that the anti-magic devil is in the real world without a human contract. But we see that Licita, there is a panel of her placing a basket and saying, this time, I'm not letting go. Now, why would Tabata show that panel and have Licita saying, this time, I'm not letting go? That would imply that something like this of her child being taken away or letting go of her child happened before. Tabata showed this scene for a reason. If it wasn't important, then he wouldn't have showed it. If she was placing a basket of groceries, then this panel would be extremely irrelevant. I think that basket that she placed had to be Asta. Now the question is, if that was Asta, why was Lucifero trying to control Liebe's body if he already will have a contract with Dante during this time? Since that panel shows that her place in Asta, that would mean that would be the same day where Asta and Yuno were both placed in front of Hodge Village, which would mean that Licita's whole encounterment with Lucifero would be around the time where Asta and Yuno were both growing up in Hodge Village. Now this could mean either two things with the whole Lucifero and Liebe situation in this chapter. Liebe talked about that his body wasn't listening to him, and Lucifero stated that I'll use him to search for a way to manifest my body into the real world. Now the key word is search. If he was actually taking over Liebe's body, he would have never said that he will use him to search for a way to manifest his own body. Because once he manifests himself into Liebe's body, there'll be no point of searching because you will be already manifest. I think Lucifero was implying here that since Liebe has no magic and he was able to get out of the underworld because he has none, I think Lucifero was going to use him as a comrade and control him to open up the gate to the underworld and find a way to get out. Because once he realized he couldn't take Liebe, right before he left, he said that he can interfere with any lowly devil out there. So with a contract with Dante, I truly believe that Lucifero, being the strongest demon and being a king of demons, he can use other devils that are lower than him. Now, based off this panel in the current chapter, chapter 268, we see that she's placed in a basket, and if that is Asta, why wasn't Yuno there? The reasons why is because the manga implied that Asta and Yuno were abandoned the same day, but it never implied that it was the exact same time. So I think it's very likely that Asta was in front of the church first before Yuno was there when he was sent there by Rao's father. So if this is Asta's mother, then this will explain why Asta was born with no mana. Because just like the Witch Queen stated, a sudden mutation had happened for Asta when he was born that allowed him to have no mana. Licita's body allows her to steal magic and life forms around her. It was also stated by Lucifero that she was absorbing his own magic. So I believe that this genetic mutation that Asta has, being born with no mana, comes from Licita, and the reason why she had to give Asta up because she would have stole his life force since his mana was already gone. And I think that her powers are also linked to the anti-magic devil's power. The anti-magic devil stated that he had no magic, no mana whatsoever, and we seen that Licita sealed him into the Five Leaf Grimoire right before she died. Sealing him into the Five Leaf of Licht's Grimoire is the reason why the anti-magic swords can cancel out and take away magic. Just like when the Demon Slayer's sword was on Langris and he couldn't use his magic against Asta, and just like when Julius was holding a Demon Dweller's sword and it was absorbing his magic. Also, when Asta was going into his anti-magic form against Ladros, the anti-magic energy was destroying the grass and the flowers around Asta. It was destroying the life force, just like Licita's magic. So this will put together why the anti-magic devil Liebe and Licita, their magic powers are connected ever since she put him in the Five Leaf Grimoire, which will make a lot of sense why Asta was chosen to have the Five Leaf Clover Grimoire. So I truly believe the way that Licita's magic worked, I think that it was impossible for her to raise Asta, and that's why she gave him up to Hodge Village. And that's why he was born with a defective mutation that allowed him to not have mana. But who knows, at the end of the day, it could be Asta's ancestors, which will also bring up the new question, then who exactly is his parents? And if Nero was actually watching the Grimoire for a very long time, then she is the worst babysitter of all time, and she can't count. But guys, that is the theory here. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, notification bells on, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, that's all in the description. Again, like, comment, subscribe. You guys have an awesome life. Take care of yourselves, and I'm out.